I would just like to say congratulations to the producers, writers, and writers of this crossover event on the CW, which isn't a big network, but still, for having the guts to do in their PG-rated TV shows that are on broadcast TV what so many M-rated games and PG-13 and R-rated films do not have the guts to do anymore, and that is actually show Nazi symbolism, and mostly having them act like Nazis. So many video games and TV shows now, just TV shows, movies, whatever. We become so PC as a culture that even when we're showing the bad guys, we're afraid to actually show their symbols, even when it's being done in a 100% negative light. So thank you for having the guts. This isn't to say they get everything perfect. They have them talk about the weak being weeded out, but they don't actually. To me, a world where Hitler was in charge until he died of old age in '94, you'd have a lot more inbred racism, which they don't really do. For instance, they first attacked our heroes. The people from Earth X first attacked our heroes at a interracial wedding that was attended by at least 2 Jewish people. Shouldn't they be showing utter disgust and repulsion at that? Shouldn't it just be inbred into them that they don't even think about it, they're just totally disgusted, and they express their disgust at all the traitors to their race who were attending this funeral? And shouldn't they really see Barry Allen as like the epitome of just a disgusting race traitor who was, the Nazis viewed, I don't really think about people's skin color, so I didn't think about the fact that it was an interracial wedding until I was watching this with Nazi stuff, and then all of a sudden I was like, real Nazis would view Barry Allen the same way we view people who have sex with animals. That's what other races, and in particular blacks and Jews, were to Nazis. They believed that they weren't even human, they were just animals. So it was utterly disgusting and repulsive to them. So they don't show that. So not everything is done perfect, but they sure get a lot more of it right than M-rated video games, R-rated movies, PG-13 rated movies. So I'm giving them a round of applause for that. Okay, I promise I'll keep this review shorter than the last one. Sorry, there was just a lot of setup in the last one, and I ended up talking more about Supergirl than I intended to, but I guess that's what comes from jumping in episode 8 of the season. But yeah, now this episode opens up with our heroes doing something truly stupid. First of all, they don't even search the Prometheus that they captured from Earth X, and they lock him in a cell in the pipeline without taking off his mask. I mean, why would you do that? But when Oliver interrogates him, he finds that this guy is Tommy Merlyn from Earth X. Yeah. And at first it looks like he's winning them over, and I was like, oh no, they're soft pedaling the Nazis, and well, there is a bit of that, but this is, as I said in my intro, but this was going beyond the pale. But then the writer shocked me. It was just a game Tommy was playing with him, just to see how soft he was, just to see how soft Oliver was in this one, and he literally laughs in his face for thinking that he would ever betray the fatherland, and the Nazi party. So, well done. This was inbred in them from birth. The Nazis inbred in this from birth. That's the thing that, now you see, that was the technique that both the Nazis and the Japanese had in common when it came during World War II. They both looked upon themselves as the only true civilization. Everyone else was just animals. They weren't even members of the human race, and they both put this propaganda in from cradle to grave. So there was no real turning against it, or if there was, it was very rare. But it's hard to beat that kind of indoctrination when you're just told that's how the world works, and that's what it says in all your science textbooks. When what religious text they allow, they rewrite to support that. It's the same thing we face. It's the same problem we face with terrorists. The reason why we can't win over a large section of these areas is, if you look, even their kids' cartoons with knockoff Mickey Mouse, you can find knockoff Mickey Mouse cartoons from the Middle East where it's all about the Jewish conspiracy and encouraging kids to strap a bomb to themselves and blow themselves up. I'm sorry, I'm trying not to get caught up on tangents, but this series, it's just, again, contrast it with Justice League, which was fun, and I enjoyed it, and I gave it a 5 out of 10. And I'll be talking about Justice League in another video I'll try to get out today, but it probably won't go out until tomorrow with how these things work. But contrast that with Justice League, which was fun but gave you nothing to think about. This almost gives me too much to think about. Not just with both character-wise and just thinking about the problems of systemic racism, Nazism, and all that other stuff. So Merlyn kills himself with a suicide tablet, which again, I don't understand why they didn't have the Flash could have searched his entire mouth and you know, taken off the mask and everything quicker than he could blink. Why don't you do that? Why don't you? It literally would take you a second, if that. But anyway, Wally is dismissed for reasons that I don't quite understand, except for budget reasons, but in the story it doesn't make much sense. Stein and Jax agree that they need to put off not becoming Firestorm until they've dealt with this problem, because there's an evil, because Nazi Girl is out there, and we then learn that Cisco is in a coma. That's 2 weeks in a row they've decided to show realistic repercussions from getting hit on the head hard enough to knock you out. Wow. You don't normally get this in superhero shows. Normally anything superhero related, they can get thrown through a building and they'll be fine. No matter what their powers are, even if their powers aren't super strength or something that protects their head, they can still do that, just because all superpowers come with being able to be thrown through a building and be fine. But anyway, so they're not sure how to track these people. And there's no sense going to Earth X to try and cut off the problem at its root, because, well, again, no Cisco, and they don't know where the invaders portal is. We then find out. One thing Mick has a crush on Killer Frost, who came out in her hero form. Yeah, you thought that wasn't edited. You thought I didn't edit the last review. Oh, I did. I edited out a lot of other rambling. It was over the hour mark. But, before I edited it down. And one of the things I talked about was seeing Killer Frost in the action as a member of Team Flash for the first time, and how great that was. But yeah, they had, oh, anyway, Mick has, well, a bit of a thing for Killer Frost. Not for Caitlin at all, no. But Killer Frost he really likes. And Caitlin's made the mistake of saying in front of him that Killer Frost comes out whenever she's angry or scared. So again, Mick provides a lot of the comic relief in this episode. So anyway, we then see that the villains, there is something wrong with Nazi Girl. She doesn't seem well, and and Eobard Fong, Reverse Flash, is concerned, and she is actually married to Green Nazi, and Reverse Flash is concerned that Green Nazi will choose her over her due to the fatherland. However, we see how inbred this is, how even with Nazi Girl, who is an alien, she swears that if it comes down to it, she'll make sure that he has no choice but to choose the fatherland. In other words, their planet and their invasion. So I take it that means she's going to make sure that she dies, or somehow, or or something like that. But anyway, it turns out that they're stealing some sort of gem, some sort of big red gem from a museum. The heroes find out about this because they remember continuity. Remember, on the different Earths, things vibrate at a different frequency. That's why Cisco's powers had to be adjusted and wouldn't work when they first went over to Earth 2. So they track the vibrations of the three villains, and we have a big fight, scene where among other things we find out that Oliver came packing with a bunch of kryptonite arrows. Those only briefly slow Nazi Girl down, though, as she then uses her heat vision to cause a building site to collapse with a bunch of workers on it. And I have to ask, I know it's probably cheaper to film at night, so that's probably why they have so many night shoots, but still, it looks like it's midnight. Why is there a construction site full of workers at midnight? I don't get it. Still, we get an exciting action scene, but the villains do get away with the red gem. Our heroes aren't sure what they want with it, but they also stole some, they then detect their headquarters, so they figure no sense worrying about it. So all the heroes that are there, except for Mick and Killer Frost, suit up and go off to attack the villains. But it turns out while they're busy with Nazi Girl and a bunch of Nazi goons and Reverse Flash, Green Nazi attacks Star Labs. And Mick and Killer Frost put up a good fight, as does the rest of Team Arrow, who shows up and gets their moment, which is awesome. And then but we see that But Green Nazi is just determined, and he beats them. And it looks like our heroes have a chance of winning at this warehouse until they break out what I think is this universe version of Metallo. He's complete with kryptonite heart. So I don't. If they said his name, I missed it, but 99.99999999999% sure it's Nazi Metallo. So that weekends Supergirl and our heroes are defeated and tied up with power dampening collars put around them. Then the villains make their typical Nazi speech, and we find out what they're after. They stole a component from Star Labs, and with the gem they can make red kryptonite radiation. And it turns out they're taking an inspiration from one of the best Superman stories ever written, All-Star Superman, which, if you haven't read that, go read it. Because it seems Nazi Girl flew way too close to the Earth's sun in their universe, and it gave her cancer that's killing her heart. So they want to cut the heart. So they needed a perfect donor. That's why they came to Barry's Earth and crashed the wedding, because they needed a match and a perfect donor, and they have been watching Barry's reality for some time. I assume we'll find out how they've been watching in tonight's 2 episodes. And anyway, so when Supergirl came there, they saw their chance. They'll use the gem and the technology to bathe her in red sunlight radiation and to weaken Supergirl, and then without damaging her heart, just weaken her to a human being. If they used kryptonite, it would damage her tissue, so the heart wouldn't work. So they're going to use this so that they can cut out her heart and transplant it into Nazi Girl. This is all bad enough, but then with Cisco still in a coma, Caitlin and the Iris end up looking around, and they see that that Nazis are occupying Star Labs. And let me just say, they make up for Iris in these 2 episodes. They've started making up for Iris what she's been doing last week and for some weeks before. She's actually being the character that I recognize. So is Caitlin. Why couldn't they have done this when they had them teamed up in their own episode a while ago? A couple weeks ago, huh? Is there any reason they couldn't have done this then? I don't think so. But anyway, but still, there are some good character moments. Yeah, there are some good talking moments between, again, Barry and Oliver highlights, but Barry and Caitlin actually work in these scenes. Thank goodness. Somebody's actually thinking of, oh, just because they're in a relationship doesn't mean we have to change who they are, or have them act selfish or stupid, or have Barry constantly apologizing, or have Barry constantly screwing up. They can just be 2 strong characters who care about each other and are just getting married. What a novel concept! Now let's hope they can keep this concept up for the rest of the season. Anyway, the big cliffhanger that goes into tonight's 2 episodes is that our superpowered heroes wake up to find themselves in a concentration camp with the power dampening collars still on Earth X. So that's a big cliffhanger. So thank goodness we don't have to wait longer than till tonight to see it. So this episode steps up the action. It has more and has some character moments. As I said, it has some moments of stupidity and some weak points, but still, overall, it's a very good episode, and it's a lot of fun. And I just love the fact that these crossover events, just break up the plot arcs, just give us a break from the plot arcs, and just let us have some fun for the Thanksgiving holiday era. Yeah, just let us kick off the holidays with a bit of fun. So, and excitement and some drama, but not too much. And this gets the mix pretty much perfect. So despite its weak points, I'm giving this episode 8.5 out of 10. It's a lot of fun and a good follow-up to the first two episodes.